There are few truths more dangerous than this. What you give away too soon, you lose forever. Power, like fire, must be contained if it is to illuminate rather than consume. The greatest error of the ordinary mind is its hunger to speak, its restless need to display what should have been guarded. And so men lose their purpose by talking about it, just as a flame loses its heat when exposed to the wind. The wisest among us know that silence is not emptiness, it is stored energy. Every time you speak of your ambitions, your wounds, your secret dreams, or your plans before they are realized, you scatter the magnetic force that drives their creation. The tongue, undisciplined, is the enemy of power. The mind that leaks its treasures in casual conversation will never possess greatness, for greatness requires containment. It requires the iron discipline to know that not everything you feel deserves an audience, and not every thought you think deserves to be shared. Look closely at the successful, and you will find they speak less than the unsuccessful. They conserve words the way a wise investor conserves capital. They know that speech, like money, can be squandered. They understand that attention is the world's most powerful currency, and that the moment you broadcast your inner life, you make a transaction that cannot be undone. You exchange privacy for approval, purpose for performance, and mastery for noise. If you seek to master life, begin with mastering yourself. If you wish to master yourself, begin with mastering your emotions. And if you wish to master your emotions, begin with mastering your tongue. For the tongue is the outpost of the mind. It is the gatekeeper between the unseen and the visible, between the world of thought and the world of action. What you release through it will either build your destiny or betray it. There are things no man or woman should reveal, not because they are shameful, but because they are sacred. Your life is not a public diary. Your mind is not a stage for spectators. The path to greatness begins in secrecy, not in spectacle. Every great invention, every empire, every transformation begins in the invisible chambers of thought, nurtured, guarded, and strengthened until ready for manifestation. Those who learn this law of silence gain a power that few will ever understand. The world teaches you to share. It urges you to broadcast, to declare, to seek validation. It rewards confession and punishes privacy. Yet, the moment you expose your dreams to untrained minds, you invite their doubt, their jealousy, and their judgment to interfere with your creation. The soil of the mind is delicate. Once disturbed by external hands, its growth falters. The law is clear. What is shared before its time dies before its birth. Silence is not withdrawal, it is strategy. It is not weakness, it is power disguised as restraint. It is not hiding, it is refining. The man who keeps his counsel builds momentum. The man who needs to explain everything disperses it. You must understand, when you speak of your purpose, you draw energy away from the doing. The words themselves become a substitute for the work, and you begin to mistake talking for progress. But the disciplined mind knows better. It understands that every idea is like a seed that must germinate in darkness. Only after it takes root should it meet the light. The impatient mind tears open the soil to show the world its seed, and in doing so, kills its potential. The wise mind nurtures the unseen until it becomes undeniable. Ask yourself, why do you feel the need to share everything? Often it is because you seek validation. You wish to be approved before you act. Yet approval is a prison. It chains your initiative to the opinions of the unqualified. A man who needs applause to move will never move when the crowd disapproves. He becomes a slave to perception, not a master of purpose. Emotional detachment begins the moment you no longer seek validation for your inner world. It is the calm acknowledgement that your dream needs no witness to be real. It lives in you, not in the reflection of others' opinions. You must remember, no one else can feel the pulse of your purpose. No one else can hear the rhythm of your destiny. So why should you expect them to understand it? Keep your counsel. Build in silence. Reveal only through results. The greatest kings, generals, philosophers, and inventors all understood the same principle. The mind must be guarded as a fortress. Within that fortress lies your vision, your intent, your strategy, your energy, and like any fortress, its strength depends on what you allow in and what you allow out. A careless word is like a breach in the wall. Through it, doubt, envy, and ridicule slip in. Through it, energy and confidence slip out. Protect the gates of speech. For the world may never know how much power you lose simply by explaining yourself. Detachment is the shield of the disciplined. It does not mean you do not feel, it means you are not ruled by feeling. It does not mean you are cold, it means you are controlled. The detached man can feel deeply without drowning, can love without losing himself, can fail without collapsing. He is free because he is not moved by every gust of emotion or opinion. He lives from principle, not impulse. The undisciplined man is moved by every wind. Praise inflates him. Criticism destroys him. He becomes a puppet, pulled by invisible strings of emotion and external validation. His peace is borrowed, his purpose fragile. He depends on the mood of the moment to dictate his direction. But the disciplined man, the man of inner sovereignty, moves from a fixed point. His mind is the compass. His purpose is the pole star. He reacts to nothing but responds to everything. That is the difference between slavery and mastery. To master emotional detachment is to reclaim your mind from the chaos of reaction. Most men live on reflex. They do not think. They react. An insult arrives, and they erupt. A compliment appears, and they swell. They are leaves in the wind, not roots in the earth. But he who is detached pauses before responding. He lets emotion pass through him without owning it. He chooses thought over impulse, clarity over confusion. This is the foundation of mental discipline. Napoleon once said, "The man who can command himself is greater than the man who can command a nation. For nations are governed by armies, but the mind is governed by will. And will cannot be bought, it must be built. You build it through silence, through restraint, through the repeated refusal to be ruled by reaction. Every time you control your tongue, when provoked, you forge iron in your character. Every time you remain calm when chaos rages, you add a brick to your inner fortress." Emotional detachment is not apathy. It is awareness without attachment. It is seeing things as they are, not as your moods would have them be. The world belongs to the calm, for calmness is not a mood, it is a weapon. It allows you to think clearly when others panic, to act decisively when others hesitate, to stand tall when others crumble. The man who rules his emotions rules his fate. For every decision you make in a state of emotion is a decision you will regret. Anger clouds reason, excitement blinds foresight, fear poisons possibility. Emotion is the fog of war that blinds the general to his strategy. Detachment is the clearing of that fog. It allows the general of your mind to see the battlefield as it is, to act not from impulse but from intelligence. If you wish to ascend to mastery, you must stop leaking power through reaction. Learn to remain unmoved by insult and unseduced by praise, for both are traps. The one provokes you to defend yourself, the other tempts you to forget yourself. The wise remain centered through both. They are steady in victory and composed in defeat. They understand that emotion is temporary, but principle is eternal. You must become the master sculptor of your inner world. Each thought is a chisel, each reaction a stroke. If you carve recklessly, you destroy the form of your destiny. But if you carve with patience and discipline, you create a masterpiece of character. Emotional detachment gives you the hand of precision. It steadies your movements, sharpens your vision, and guards you from the chaos of the untrained mind. The first secret you must never share is your next move. The world loves to talk, but those who speak before they act dilute their momentum. Every plan should remain in the privacy of your own counsel until it has substance, until it breathes on its own. When you share prematurely, you invite interference from others, from doubt, from distraction. Move silently. Work in the shadows until your success shines so brightly that it cannot be ignored. To reveal your plan is to surrender your leverage. To act in silence is to multiply it. The wise strategist never announces his campaign before the victory is secured. The fool proclaims his intention before he has begun, and in doing so, invites resistance from the very forces that would have never noticed him. The less they know, the more power you have. Every great architect works behind closed doors before unveiling his masterpiece. Every inventor guards his experiments until they are perfected. Every visionary protects the seed of his dream from the gaze of those who cannot see. Why? Because energy disperses through exposure. The moment you tell your plan, you transfer ownership of it to the listener. Their reactions, whether doubt, envy, or even approval, begin to shape your confidence, and your inner certainty weakens. Silence, therefore, is not merely absence of speech, it is protection of vision. Keep your plan sacred. Let your results speak for you, for silence is the language of strength, and accomplishment the only worthy response to curiosity. You must learn that your emotions are the wild horses of your mind. If you do not train them, they will trample your reason. If you do not direct them, they will drag you into valleys of regret. The great secret of power is not to kill emotion, but to harness it. Emotion, when mastered, becomes fuel. Emotion, when ungoverned, becomes fire. The disciplined mind turns passion into propulsion. The undisciplined mind turns passion into destruction. Consider how easily the average man is defeated. He is conquered not by armies, not by fate, but by himself. One harsh word from another, and his peace collapses. One delay in his plans, and his resolve melts. He becomes a prisoner of his own reactions. But understand this, no external circumstance can defeat the man who refuses to be emotionally enslaved. The moment you can stand in the center of chaos and remain calm, you have already won. Power belongs to those who remain steady while others tremble. History is written by those who thought clearly while the masses panicked. Calmness is the ultimate weapon of the strong. It is the foundation of all strategic advantage. When others are blinded by anger or fear, you can see clearly. When others rush to act, you wait and calculate. When others are slaves to reaction, you are master of response. This is the mark of leadership. Do not confuse suppression with control. Suppression is weakness pretending to be strength. It is the man who clenches his fists and bites his tongue while his heart burns with rage. True control is calmness born of understanding. It is the awareness that no insult, no circumstance, no voice outside yourself has the power to command your peace unless you grant it. You cannot control the world, but you can control your interpretation of it. That is the essence of sovereignty. The world will constantly test your composure. It will send critics, disappointments, betrayals, and losses. Each one is a question posed by destiny. Will you react or respond? Reaction is reflex. Response is choice. Reaction is the language of slaves. Response is the language of kings. Each time you respond with discipline instead of reaction, you declare to the universe, I am the master of my fate. You must become so grounded in your purpose that no mood can shake it. The winds of emotion may blow, but your will must be anchored. You will feel frustration, fear, desire, and doubt, but let them pass as clouds pass across the sky. They cannot change the Sunday. Let your purpose remain that sun, constant, unmovable, burning with the same light regardless of the weather. Many fail in life not because they lack intelligence, but because they are ruled by feeling. They act when they should wait. They speak when they should listen. They give up when they should persist. Emotion whispers lies to the impatient heart. Act now, speak now, quit now. The disciplined mind hears the whisper but does not obey. It pauses, it thinks. It decides from principle, not from passion. That pause is the mark of mastery. Every failure can be traced back to an undisciplined moment. The man who quits did not plan to quit. He simply allowed a passing feeling to overrule a permanent intention. The woman who speaks in anger did not mean to destroy what she built. She simply allowed her tongue to move before her reason. Each moment of emotional reaction is a small surrender of power, and each act of control is a small accumulation of it. Greatness is built not in grand gestures, but in those quiet, invisible victories within. Let your emotions be servants, never masters. You must feel, but you must direct feeling. Passion should drive your work, not your judgment. Desire should move your hands, not cloud your mind. Fear should warn you, not paralyze you. Pain should instruct you, not define you. The man who can feel deeply, yet act wisely, has achieved the rarest form of strength. To discipline your mind, you must first become aware of it. Observe your thoughts as if you were an impartial witness. Watch how anger rises, how doubt speaks, how desire seduces. Do not fight them, study them. In the laboratory of awareness, you will learn the laws of your own psyche. Awareness is the first act of control. The moment you can see your thoughts without being possessed by them, you have already separated yourself from the chaos. When you become the observer of your mind, emotion loses its tyranny. You realize that thoughts are not commands, they are suggestions. You are free to accept or reject them. Most people are victims of their own internal chatter. Their minds speak, and they obey blindly, but the master listens, evaluates, and decides. This is accurate thinking, the foundation of all self-command. You will meet people who live entirely at the mercy of emotion. They will tell you they felt like it. They will justify failure by feeling. They will destroy relationships, opportunities, and reputations because they could not govern themselves in a moment of passion. Do not join them. Pity them, for they are exiles from their own power. They live as servants in the kingdom they were meant to rule. True mastery begins when you cease explaining your emotions and start commanding them. Stop saying, "I can't help it." You can help it. You must help it. That phrase is the anthem of the weak. Replace it with, "I choose otherwise." Those words transform your psychology. They remind you that you are the cause, not the consequence. You are the architect, not the victim. Each choice you make strengthens or weakens the foundation of your character. Remember, the mind is like a kingdom divided into two provinces, reason and emotion. Reason is the ruler, emotion is the army. When the army revolts, the kingdom falls into chaos. When the ruler is wise, the army becomes its greatest power. Your task is to bring the army under command. You do this through repetition, through thought discipline, through the conscious direction of your focus. Focus is the steering wheel of the mind. Wherever it goes, energy follows. When you dwell on anger, you feed it. When you dwell on fear, you strengthen it. But when you redirect your focus to purpose, both dissolve. Purpose starves negative emotion because it gives the mind a higher object. When you are fully absorbed in creation, reaction loses its grip. The disciplined mind always returns to purpose. It asks, will this thought help or hinder my goal? And if the answer is no, it releases it instantly. You must practice this detachment daily. When insulted, smile inwardly. When praised, stay grounded. When plans fail, adjust quietly. When success comes, remain humble. Emotional equilibrium is not built in comfort, it is forged in contrast. You become unshakable by standing still in the storm, not by hiding from it. Every challenge is a test of control. Each one you pass expands your power. Never allow others to dictate your internal climate. The weather outside may be wild, but you must govern your inner season. Your mood should not depend on what others say, do, or think. Let your peace come from within, from the still conviction that nothing outside yourself can define you. The world is a mirror that reflects your state of mind. If you are chaotic within, it will show chaos without. If you are calm within, even conflict becomes orderly around you. Guard against emotional contagion. The moods of others are infections. Do not inhale them. People will project their fears, doubts, and frustrations onto you. Learn to reject them with quiet grace. The disciplined mind is immune to gossip, hysteria, and panic because it does not absorb without examination. Filter every input through the question, does this serve my growth? If it does not, it has no right to stay. There is a power in restraint that few comprehend. The world admires those who speak loudly, act impulsively, and display emotion publicly. But observe closely, their strength is theatrical, not actual. The man who must prove his power has already lost it. Real strength needs no audience. It resides in stillness, in the quiet mastery of one's own mind. The lion does not roar all day. He moves in silence until the moment of necessity. Do not advertise your pain. The world is filled with spectators, not healers. Every complaint you utter becomes a seed of weakness planted in your subconscious. Each time you repeat a story of suffering, you deepen its roots. The disciplined man acknowledges pain privately and transforms it silently into power. He does not seek sympathy, he seeks solution. Self-pity is poison disguised as comfort. It feeds the ego but starves the soul. When you stop broadcasting your struggles, you conserve energy for transformation. The energy that once fueled complaint now fuels progress. Speak of victory, not of victimhood. Talk of lessons, not of losses. The man who speaks from wounds remains wounded. The man who speaks from wisdom has healed. You must also protect your inner circle. Do not share your weaknesses with those who have not earned the right to hold them. Most people do not care to understand, they only care to compare. They take your vulnerability as gossip, not guidance. Choose confidants as you would choose surgeons with caution, competence, and trust. Better to speak to your own journal than to an unworthy ear. Privacy is the armor of power. What the world cannot see, it cannot attack. Every secret kept from idle talk strengthens your fortress. Speak only to those who elevate your understanding. Silence around the wrong people is intelligence. Silence around the right people is intimacy. The disciplined man distinguishes between the two. Guard especially the privacy of your finances. Never boast of your income, your possessions, or your advantages. Money attracts envy. Envy attracts interference. The truly wealthy are discreet. They understand that abundance is a state of consciousness, not a spectacle. Let your lifestyle whisper rather than scream. True richness is invisible to those who measure with eyes instead of minds. You will notice a pattern emerging: the principle of conservation. Whether of words, energy, or emotion, the law is the same. What you conserve multiplies, what you dissipate disappears. The universe rewards the disciplined steward. The man who leaks energy through talk, complaint, and reactivity lives in poverty of mind. The man who guards his focus lives in abundance of power. Detachment is therefore not about isolation, it is about insulation. You remain among people, but untouched by their chaos. You engage with life, but are not entangled in its drama. You participate fully while observing internally. This dual awareness, the ability to act outwardly and remain still inwardly, is the mark of supreme discipline. When you master detachment, time itself begins to obey you. You no longer rush. You no longer chase. You work with deliberate pace, aware that the universe bends toward those who act with calm conviction. Impatience is a symptom of emotional weakness. It signals distrust in the process. But patience is confidence. It says, I know what I am building, therefore I do not need to prove it. Every great achiever moves with the quiet rhythm of inevitability. They are calm because they are certain. Their certainty is born from discipline. They have trained their minds to remain aligned with purpose, regardless of circumstance. They do not allow external events to dictate their internal narrative. They are authors of thought, not characters in reaction. Understand this law. Whatever you do repeatedly becomes automatic. If you repeatedly react, reaction becomes your nature. If you repeatedly pause, observe, and respond, calmness becomes your nature. Discipline begins as effort but ends as identity. The goal is not to fight emotion forever, but to transform your nature until control feels as natural as breathing. Practice daily neutrality. When provoked, breathe and say to yourself, this too is a test. When flattered, remind yourself, this too is temporary. When discouraged, declare, this too shall pass. Such words reset the mind to truth. All emotions are temporary visitors. You are the permanent host. Treat them with civility, but never surrender the house. Soon, detachment becomes not a practice, but a personality. You will notice the world no longer manipulates you. Your peace will offend the restless. Your calm will expose their chaos. Some will accuse you of being distant or cold, but understand they speak from the discomfort of their own lack of control. Do not explain yourself. The truly disciplined never justify their serenity. And so the man who has mastered detachment walks through life untouched by the storms that destroy others. He has learned that power does not shout, it stands still. Success does not chase, it attracts. Peace does not beg, it emanates. All this is born from the silent dominion of the inner world, the throne upon which few have the courage to sit. You must understand that your mind is a laboratory, and your thoughts are experiments within it. Every image, every belief, every word you repeat to yourself is a chemical compound in the invisible chemistry of destiny. What you allow to enter this laboratory will determine the quality of your results. The careless thinker pollutes his own process. The wise thinker guards his mental instruments as sacred tools. He knows that his environment of thought must be pure, controlled, and protected from contamination. When you speak of your dreams too early, you open the laboratory door to dust and noise. When you surround yourself with minds that doubt, you alter the chemical balance of your belief. When you share your private experiments with those who cannot understand, you invite mockery, misunderstanding, and distraction, all of which dissolve the energy that creation requires. Therefore, keep your experiments hidden until the formula is perfected. Silence is the sterilization of your mind. The most creative forces in the world work in silence. The seed beneath the soil, the embryo within the womb, the artist alone in the dark, the thinker at his desk. Life itself was conceived in stillness. You must learn to honor this law. Creation requires concealment. Do not demand applause while you are still in the process of becoming. The applause that arrives too soon turns to noise that corrupts the purity of your work. Within the inner laboratory of your mind, there must be order. Emotion must not run wild through the experiment. Doubt must not spill into the mixture. You must conduct your thoughts with precision, with attention, with discipline. Each day is a test, each thought an ingredient. When you repeat an idea long enough, it crystallizes into belief, and belief, repeated with conviction, hardens into reality. This is not philosophy, it is law. The law of mental transmutation states that thought, charged with emotion and sustained by will, becomes form. But here lies the danger. If emotion is undisciplined, the form becomes distorted. Just as a scientist must control the temperature of his experiment, so must you control the temperature of your emotion. Too much heat and the vessel cracks. Too little and the reaction dies. Emotional balance is not coldness, it is calibration. It is the precise harmony between feeling and reason that allows creation to occur. Most men destroy their own visions because they cannot control their mental climate. They begin their work in enthusiasm, but abandon it in discouragement. They oscillate between excitement and despair, never realizing that both extremes are forms of instability. You cannot build on ground that shifts with every emotion. You must establish equilibrium. Decide once and for all that your commitment is not conditional upon your mood. The man who waits for motivation will never act. The man who acts from decision creates motivation. There is no greater discipline than the mastery of attention. The average person scatters his focus across hundreds of trivialities. He wonders why he cannot manifest his goals while he spends his energy reacting to distractions. The mind, like sunlight, burns only when concentrated. When you direct your focus toward a single definite purpose and guard it from interference, you ignite power. That power, once steady, becomes unstoppable. You must protect your attention, as a king protects his crown. The modern world seeks to steal it through noise, comparison, and constant stimulation. But the disciplined mind lives by principle, not by impulse. It decides what is worthy of attention and ignores the rest. Each time you choose focus over distraction, you sharpen the sword of your will, and will is the architect of destiny. Remember the law of cause and effect. Every result in your outer life has its root in an inner cause. If you wish to change circumstances, you must change consciousness. Emotion is not the cause, it is the consequence. Thought is the cause. Your world is a mirror that reflects your mental state. To master life, you must first master what you allow to reflect. Say to yourself each morning, "Today I command my mind. Today I will think only that which builds, strengthens, and directs me toward my purpose." Repeat it not as wishful thinking, but as an order from a general to his troops. The subconscious mind obeys the tone of command. It does not analyze, it accepts. The more definite your command, the more obedient the response. Autosuggestion is the discipline of conscious reinforcement. Every time you affirm a principle, you train your subconscious to adopt it as law. Every repetition plants a seed. Repeat it often enough, it becomes the soil of your new identity. But you must choose your suggestions wisely. The subconscious cannot distinguish between truth and falsehood. It only amplifies what you feed it. Feed it fear, and it multiplies fear. Feed it faith, and it multiplies courage. Feed it self-pity, and it will justify every failure. Feed it self-command, and it will shape your world to match it. The man who allows random emotion to enter his mind is like a gardener who allows weeds to grow among his crops. The weeds will always dominate, for they grow faster and require less care. Discipline, then, is the act of constant cultivation of uprooting doubt before it becomes belief, of trimming fear before it overshadows faith. The inner garden must be tended daily, silently, and without display. Guard especially against the temptation to seek sympathy. Sympathy is the drug of the weak. It offers comfort without cure. It softens the will. The man who speaks often of his struggles trains his mind to identify as a sufferer. He begins to love his wounds because they bring him attention. But attention is counterfeit power. It feels rich while making you poorer. The disciplined man does not trade his energy for pity. He channels pain into progress, silently, relentlessly. When you suffer, be still. Do not broadcast your suffering to those who cannot heal it. Pain has meaning only when it is transformed. Every adversity carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit, but only to the mind that looks inward, not outward. Speak less of the injury and more of the lesson. Let your healing be private and your results public. Every challenge you face is an invitation to prove your mastery. The world will not reward you for what you feel. It will reward you for what you overcome. Emotion is the raw material of growth. Anger, fear, sorrow, joy, all are energies awaiting direction. The fool wastes them. The master channels them. The fire that burns the weak is the same fire that forges the strong. Detach from the need to be understood. Most will not comprehend your silence, your discipline, your restraint. They will interpret it as arrogance or coldness. But what they call arrogance is simply focus. What they call coldness is clarity. Their misunderstanding is proof of your elevation, not your error. Greatness always isolates before it exalts. The man who is understood by everyone has not yet done anything extraordinary. You must be willing to walk alone for a season while you train your mind for sovereignty. Solitude is not loneliness, it is leadership. It is the silence in which the voice of purpose becomes clear. When you no longer require validation, you become immune to manipulation. The world can offer you nothing, it can also take away. That is the beginning of true independence. The undisciplined live from the outside in. They are shaped by events, opinions, and moods. The disciplined live from the inside out. They shape events through intention. The outer world obeys the inner command. Your task is to strengthen the command until it becomes law. In the laboratory of thought, no experiment is more powerful than the union of definiteness of purpose and emotional control. Definiteness of purpose gives direction, emotional control provides endurance. One without the other fails. Purpose without discipline burns out. Discipline without purpose stagnates. When both unite, you become a force of nature, deliberate, persistent, unstoppable. Say to yourself often, I am the commander of my emotions. I am the governor of my thoughts. I am the builder of my destiny. These are not empty affirmations. They are decrees that carve grooves in your subconscious until they become highways of habit. Every repetition deepens the path. Every day of discipline strengthens the structure. Eventually, mastery becomes automatic. Learn also the power of neutrality. Neutrality is not indifference, it is readiness. When you remain neutral, you conserve energy. You neither celebrate too early nor despair too quickly. You observe, you calculate, you move when timing aligns. The calm man sees opportunities others miss because he is not blinded by excitement or fear. In business, in relationships, in every field of endeavor, neutrality is leverage. The law of mental neutrality is this: the mind that is not disturbed sees clearly. The mind that sees clearly acts effectively. Emotion distorts vision. Detachment restores it. You must cultivate a mental state where events do not dictate your direction, only your strategy. You remain as water, shapeless yet powerful, adapting yet never losing identity. Be wary of the advice of the emotional. They speak from turbulence, not truth. Their words may sound passionate, but passion without perspective is poison. The wise man listens to all but believes selectively. He tests every idea against the measure of principle. He asks not, does this feel good, but does this align with truth? Accurate thinking is the surgeon's scalpel of the mind. It separates fact from feeling, reality from reaction. To achieve accurate thinking, you must first eliminate prejudice. Emotion clouds reason. Fear distorts data. Desire bends logic. To see things as they are, you must remove the lens of personal bias. Look at life not through hope or despair, but through clarity. Ask always, what is the truth? And when you find it, obey it, whether it comforts or confronts you. Most people do not want truth, they want reassurance. They seek confirmation, not correction. But success belongs to those who love truth more than comfort. Detachment grants that love. When you are no longer ruled by emotion, you are no longer bribed by pleasure or threatened by pain. You become free to pursue reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. When your mind is disciplined, emotion becomes your ally, not your enemy. You no longer suppress or express impulsively, you channel. You turn anger into action, fear into foresight, pain into purpose. This is the alchemy of success, transmuting emotion into creation. The furnace is within you, and you are the alchemist. There will come a time when you are tested, when all you have built internally will be challenged externally. In that moment, your habits will speak louder than your hopes. If you have trained your mind to remain calm, it will not betray you. If you have allowed it to wander unchecked, it will abandon you. Preparation is invisible. Its proof is seen only in crisis. The man who has mastered himself stands amid chaos and remains undisturbed. He knows that storms come not to destroy, but to strengthen. He understands that the outer world mirrors the inner, and thus his calm becomes command. While others flee, he advances. While others doubt, he decides. While others complain, he creates. His composure is his crown, his silence, his scepter, his discipline, his kingdom. And so, as you progress in mastery, you must remember the sacred rule. Guard your inner world with the same vigilance with which kings guard their thrones. Do not allow every passerby to enter your palace of thought. Not every opinion deserves residence. Not every voice deserves audience. You are the sovereign. Act as one. If you wish to rise above the ordinary, learn the art of emotional detachment and mental discipline. Speak less. Observe more. Do not explain your every feeling or justify your every move. The one who governs his own mind commands his destiny. Remember this, power is lost through noise and built through silence. Success grows in private before it blooms in public. The man who guards his mind guards his future. The one who rules himself cannot be ruled by others. So stay calm when others panic, stay focused when others drift, and stay silent when others boast. For in the end, the world will not remember what you said, only what you became.